I would like to record this video to reflect on my experience of the first week of practicum as a mental health counselor at a university. It's small public liberal arts university, the only public liberal arts university in Texas, where I went to get my degree in mental health counseling, which I tremendously enjoy. So the practicum, I just wanted to share my impressions with myself, rather knowing that if I don't do it now, next week is going to be the second week of practicum, and therefore I'll have to record a video that will be something like my impression of the second week of the practicum, because the first week of the practicum will end. So, a challenge to keep in mind that, of course, I cannot reflect on what I have heard in those sessions, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to talk about my clients at all. I'm just going to talk about me, my favorite topic, the topic where I feel I'm an expert because nobody else has access to my experiences. So I've been waiting for the practicum because I was so excited to try all the techniques and theories I learned about. I really am a big fan of a theory. I think that a theory is great. Whenever there is a theory, I'm excited for it. And so I paid attention to this theoretical part. And a lot of theories, they do have accompanying them techniques. And some theories are more philosophy-based than technique-based, which is also appealing to me. But then you don't really know how to apply them because there are no techniques. These are just philosophical general ideas and premises that perhaps if you are at that moment when you can depart from techniques and just be within this pure philosophy level of reasoning with your client, who is also a philosopher by virtue of being included and pulled into this conversation. Maybe it's even better, maybe it's even more rewarding, I don't know, because right now I do cling to techniques quite a bit. And I think that perhaps this is to be expected. I try to weave them in a manner that it will be harmonious and it will not be, oh, and let's use this technique and let's use that technique. Although there is nothing wrong with that too. I think I would rather have too many techniques as a client, for instance, of a counselor than too few, maybe. I don't know, actually, that's a big generalization to make. But this is just to say that the use of techniques is appropriate, the use of techniques is expected, and it's good to be able to be familiar with them and good to apply them. So my theoretical orientation from the beginning of this practicum from a week ago was CBT, and I know there's a lot of prejudice sort of against CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. Apparently, it kind of didn't live up to some expectations, was perceived as very formal and very kind of technique-y too. So, you know, I don't know, because I've always been drawn to it. Whenever I read something from it, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Then rational emotive behavior theory of Albert Ellis, who I already recorded one video about, with what's called shoulds and musts and extreme beliefs that we have that can be disputed in session, so they can be undone in the mind of the person who is talking to you, which is great. We do need to do these beliefs for each other. And Yeah, so I named CBT, I named rational emotive behavior therapy, and the third thing is solution focused. It's called the brief therapy, SFBT, but I tend to drop the brief because I don't really believe in the brief interventions. I mean, sometimes that's all that you have. Sometimes it may be just 1 or 2 sessions before they drop out or they turn away and they never return. That happens too. But I still would like to drop the brief part because I think if you come into therapy and counseling, you better count that it will continue for some time because we are not the robots. We cannot really open the box and then adjust some wires and close it and it works perfectly. This is usually not how it works. It probably would require some time. Any change does require some time anyway. So that's what I was thinking in terms of theory. That's how theoretically minded I was a week ago. However, I think perhaps I will end this practicum in half a year from now as somebody who has different theoretical orientation, or not completely different, because that would still make sense to me, what I named, but I would probably be more accepting and curious about all these somatic techniques and mindfulness. I happen to be very skeptical about mindfulness, and that's just my personal experience. It's not like I don't believe in it. I do believe in it. But, well, my personal experience, again, that's something that has no relation to the theory itself. But I learned it in the, I learned the beginning of it in the Soviet times or early post-Soviet times when my mom was visiting various, I think I already rambled about it one time, at least, visited various seminars, and, she is like a health, life-minded person. She has always been paying attention to it. So she taught me progressive muscle relaxation and some breathing exercises and some meditation, some mindfulness in short. But as everything that comes from mom, it's like it could be discounted, could be like, oh, that's maybe it's not even like real. This is maybe not science. This is something that we picked somewhere, in this post-Soviet years where we really didn't know what was happening. And there was also a whole bunch of various sales people of snake oil and Kashpirovsky and everybody else. And it appeared that new horizons of humanity were opening and new realizations were possible. And at the same time, that these insights that people were having at the time, at that moment, in this historic moment, were also compromised by all sorts of financial schemes and redistribution of property and what have you, a lot of like lawlessness and privatization and like all these conversations about progressive muscle relaxation, yoga, meditation, and so on and so on. It was mixed with all the vouchers and privatization and financial bubbles and things like that. So to me, it was kind of all went together in one package. So I was skeptical about it, but Of course, you cannot really argue with the general premise of mindfulness that you have to notice the thoughts that you keep having, and that your thoughts are not something that you have to be taking as part of you, and that these thoughts essentially could be erroneous. And in this sense, I think CBT and rational emotive behavior therapy, they're very close to mindfulness because they also get these thoughts. But I think if mindfulness wants to acknowledge them, sort of recognize them, that you have this thought and just kind of follow it, it's a trajectory of passing, like the thought is passing and you are basically, well, it came and it went, you are this stone and the water, which is your thinking, is flowing by itself around you. So if mindfulness, I think, does that, or is supposed to be doing that, that's my current understanding. Probably will change in 2 years, but I can only talk from this moment. So then rational emotive behavior therapy and cognitive behavior therapy, they do pay attention to this thought. So they do they do begin a conversation with them. Particularly rational emotive behavior therapy, I think what it does is it begins a dispute. It begins a dispute with these thoughts. So different school of thoughts. Some think you need just to let them pass, these thoughts. Some think you do need to undo them. I think you do have to undo them if they're persistent, if they're negative, if they are related to the identity rather than performance. For example, I failed a job interview. It's a performance. I am a failure. It's an identity. So at least the thoughts that are about identity, they need to be undone if they are negative, because, well, if you think that you are a failure, it becomes this overarching idea about yourself, and there's no escape from that. Then you will have the experience of failure if you think I am a failure, right? So yeah, I'm thinking that by the end of this practicum, I might be more comfortable with mindfulness, with the whole mindfulness approach. And again, yes, I was skeptical, but I'm less so now. And I am looking forward to what my clients will teach me, because I do feel like this is a two-way street and a two-way process. And your clients are teaching you as much as you are giving them, perhaps even more, but of course your idea is still to give them some tools so that they can make changes. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me talk. I appreciate it. I hope you're having a great day today, tomorrow, and this whole next week. And I will see you soon. Bye-bye.